The hospital corridor smelled like cheap floor wax and metallic dread. My mother grabbed my wrist so tightly her nails drew blood through my sleeve. "You're taking the blame for this, Sarah," she hissed, her voice trembling not with fear for the victim, but with desperation for her favorite child. "Your sister has her whole life ahead of her. You're just a quiet nobody. You can handle a light sentence." My brother didn't even look me in the eye. He just held out a pre-typed confession paper and a pen, demanding I sign my life away for a crime my twin sister committed while driving drunk. They thought they were backing a meek, disposable pushover into a corner. They thought they were saving the golden child at my expense. What my family completely forgot, or rather, what they never bothered to pay attention to over the last 5 years, was where I went every morning at 8 a.m. They thought I was an administrative assistant. They had no idea I was a newly appointed Superior Court judge. And in less than 24 hours, they were going to learn exactly how the legal system works when you try to frame the person wearing the robe. Welcome back to BT Revenge Tales, where toxic family members find out the hard way that karma always collects its debts. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop the name of the city or country you're watching from in the comments below. I love reading where our global family tunes in from. Now, grab a drink, settle in, and listen to how my family's ultimate betrayal turned into their biggest nightmare. My name is Sarah, and at 32 years old, I was completely invisible to the people who were supposed to love me most. Growing up, my twin sister Chloe was the golden child, radiant, spoiled, and utterly incapable of taking responsibility for her actions. Our mother excused every disaster Chloe caused, while my older brother played the protective enforcer, ensuring Chloe never faced consequences. I was just the quiet, reliable background noise. When I got accepted to law school on a full scholarship, my mother barely looked up from her phone to congratulate me. When I spent 5 years working tireless 80-hour weeks in public service, eventually earning an appointment as a Superior Court judge, my family didn't even attend the ceremony. They assumed I was just some low-level administrative assistant doing boring desk work. They never bothered to ask about my life, my career, or my achievements. But as it turned out, their complete lack of interest in who I really was would soon become their ultimate undoing. The sharp, shrill ringing of my phone shattered the stillness of midnight. I answered to my mother's hysterical voice, ordering me to open my apartment's attached garage immediately. Seconds later, a sleek red sports car tore down the alleyway and scraped against the concrete wall as it lurched inside. Chloe stumbled out of the driver's seat, reeking of expensive tequila, hyperventilating as she collapsed onto the oil-stained floor. The front bumper was completely caved in, the windshield webbed with spiderweb cracks, and dark fabric threads were caught in the shattered headlight. Before I could process the horror in front of me, my brother slid through the closing garage door, his face pale and sweating. Chloe had hit a pedestrian 3 miles back and panicked, speeding off into the night instead of calling for an ambulance. They thought my quiet suburban residence would be the perfect sanctuary to hide the wreckage. But as sirens began to wail faint and distant across the city, my brother checked his phone, his face darkening. Traffic cameras had captured the entire hit and run. The heavy double doors of the emergency room waiting area swung shut, sealing us in a sterile pocket of flickering fluorescent light and cold air. The pedestrian Chloe had struck was in critical condition, fighting for their life just 2 floors above us. Yet looking at my family, you would have thought Chloe was the real victim. My mother paced back and forth, her hands fluttering near her chest. "Chloe can't go to prison, Sarah," she said, stepping toward me with a sudden, suffocating intensity. "She's too fragile. A record like that would destroy her entire future." My brother stepped up beside her, towering over me, his voice dropping into that familiar, commanding register he used whenever he wanted to force my compliance. "You're the only one who can fix this," he said, holding out a crumpled piece of notebook paper. "We tell the police you borrowed her car to run an errand. You took a light curve, hit something in the dark, panicked, and drove home. You have no criminal record. You'll get probation, maybe community service. Chloe would get 10 years. You want me to confess to a felony hit and run?" I asked quietly. "You owe this family," my mother demanded, grabbing my arm. "We raised you. I looked at their desperate, ruthless faces, feeling the final threads of familial duty snap inside me. I nodded slowly, letting them believe their manipulation was working, while my mind began calculating every legal trap they were walking into. I returned home, but I didn't sleep. Instead, I set up a secondary phone in my living room, disguised behind a stack of books on the coffee table, set to record continuous high-definition audio and video. An hour later, my family stormed through the front door, demanding I review their timeline. "Read this carefully," my brother commanded, tossing a handwritten statement onto the table. "You sign it, you stick to the story, and nobody mentions Chloe was ever drinking." I kept my voice calm, sounding timid and scared. "What happens if the police check my phone logs? Or ask why I didn't call the police right after hitting someone?" My mother scoffed, waving her hand dismissively. "We'll tell them your battery died. Just sign the damn paper, Sarah." Chloe's out in the car, crying her eyes out. "You're doing what any good sister would do." Over the next 20 minutes, my mother and brother explicitly laid out the entire plot. They detailed how they helped Chloe hide the vehicle, how they planned to destroy her blood-soaked jacket, and how they intended to lie to investigators. By the time they handed me the pen, I had them on tape confessing to conspiracy, evidence tampering, and obstruction of justice. "Meet us at the municipal courthouse downtown tomorrow at 9, my brother said, patting my shoulder like a mobster rewarding a hitman. "I booked a consultation with a public defender to handle your surrender." "I'll be there," I replied softly, holding the signed false confession tight in my hand. They thought they had backed me into a corner, completely unaware that I was leading them straight into a legal minefield. The municipal courthouse was buzzing with morning traffic when my family arrived, looking smug and triumphant. My mother was adjusting Chloe's coat, whispering sweet assurances, while my brother strutted toward the public defender's office like he owned the building. They spotted me sitting quietly on a bench near the main concourse, holding a leather briefcase. "Good girl," my brother smirked, extending his hand for the signed confession. "Let's go find this court-appointed lawyer and wrap this up." I didn't hand over the paper. Instead, I stood up, walked right past them, and pushed open the heavy mahogany doors marked Judge's Chambers Only. "Sarah, what are you doing?" my mother shrieked, darting forward to grab my arm, but two armed bailiffs immediately stepped into her path, blocking her way. "Ma'am, step back," the lead officer commanded sternly. 5 minutes later, the side doors of courtroom 4B swung open. My family sat in the gallery, mouths agape, as I walked out wearing flowing black judicial robes, accompanied by the lead homicide detective and the district attorney. The color completely drained from my mother's face. My brother dropped his phone, the glass shattering on the tile floor. "Good morning," I said coldly, looking down from the bench into their horrified eyes. "I believe you were looking for the magistrate." The courtroom fell into a suffocating, dead silence. My mother stared up at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, while my brother gripped the wooden bench so hard his knuckles turned white. Chloe burst into hysterical sobs, finally realizing that the quiet sister she had spent her life stepping on was the authority presiding over the entire building. Before they could utter a single word, the district attorney stepped forward and formally submitted the recorded audio, video files, and the signed false confession into the record. I formally recused myself from the proceedings to serve as the prosecution's star witness, ensuring every piece of evidence was processed with absolute transparency. 4 uniformed officers moved in immediately. Chloe was placed in handcuffs and charged with felony hit-and-run, driving under the influence, and vehicular assault. My mother and brother were cuffed right alongside her, facing severe charges for conspiracy, evidence tampering, and filing a false police report. As they were led away in chains, screaming my name, I didn't feel anger, only the cold, unwavering certainty of real justice. 6 months later, the legal hammer fell. Chloe received a 5-year prison sentence, while my mother and brother were handed heavy fines and 3 years of supervised probation for their role in the cover-up. The victim thankfully survived, and I personally ensured my sister's asset liquidation helped cover their medical bills. Today, I sit on my porch in quiet peace, surrounded by people who value truth over bloodline. Toxic family ties don't define your worth. Your integrity does. What would you have done in my position? Let me know in the comments below.